Joining me on this India Today special broadcast is Professor Andrew Latham. He's a distinguished scholar of international security and strategic studies. Joins us from the Macalester College in the United States. Sushant Sareen is a senior fellow at the Observer Research Foundation. Siddharth Zarabi, managing editor, Business Today, joins me on this broadcast. Tatiana Kokhareva is a senior journalist who joins us from Moscow, and Andrew K.P. Leung is a China strategist and analyst joining us on this broadcast, and we'll continue this conversation. I first want to cut across to India Today's Rohit Sharma joining us live from Washington, D.C. Rohit, what should one make of Donald Trump's message? He's been in the line of fire, especially after the Tianjin SCO summit. In the US, he's been criticized for pushing India closer to China and Russia instead of nurturing a relationship that both India and the US had invested so heavily in the past 25 years. But how is his message being analyzed in the US, Rohit?
Well, we're just waking up to what he posted here in Washington, D.C., and I was just looking at some of the comments coming in from the sources I've had at the White House, and they make it pretty clear that it's the President of the United States who obviously was keeping a very close eye on what the developments in Asia, and he was obviously taking a look at those photo ops and those pictures and the pictures that we're showing, and he's consulted, with a lot of people around him. And this morning he decided that he wanted to put out that message and give a clear message and sort of warning to both Russia and India. And remember, this is the same president who says that he has a great relationship with Prime Minister Modi. He has a great relationship with Russian President Vladimir Putin. So I think it's a little personal for him to see those images coming out from China. Number two, I think, and I know it for a fact now, and I can confirm from one of my sources, that the Americans believe that there would be a trade deal. As of this morning, they think there would be a trade deal in the next month or two. And then it's on President Trump, on how he wants to deal with those tariffs and whatnot. So it could be seen as another diplomatic push. Not the one that India would like to see, a pressure tactic. But again, President Trump making it very clear that he's taken note of all those images that have been on social media and flooded wall-to-wall coverage here in the United States.
Okay. Siddharth, your reading of the Trump post, India's very calm response to all the rants that came from the MAGA ecosystem in the past 1 month. Is Donald Trump increasing pressure, or is he looking for an off-ramp?
Bullseye. I think that's the best word to describe what the US president is feeling. He and his aides have pushed India into a corner and driven it out of sight as far as America is concerned. Nobody did that. And the point that you made got a very good point, that we've been calm and responsible in all our communications. We haven't ranted like many of Trump's aides have, and therefore this single biggest foreign policy failure, I'm not saying this, go through any responsible spokesperson or a foreign policy expert from the United States, and they're calling it the single biggest foreign policy failure in recent times of the United States. And for what? For things that are completely unfounded in fact and are actually fiction in many ways. And I think this reflection of the fact that, forget trade, but you are now put the very future of a well-crafted alliance at stake for purposes which are not clear to anyone. And therefore today his tweet is basically acknowledgement of the fact that there is no method in the madness that we have seen from the US in the recent past.
Okay, stay with me, Siddharth. Professor Latham, looks like we've lost India and Russia to the deepest and darkest China. May they have a long and prosperous future together. What's the message in your view, sir?
Well, the message is, of course, that Donald Trump doesn't understand geopolitics, diplomacy. He certainly doesn't understand India. But I would also say this by way of framing. This is just froth on the top of the ocean. If we look at the deep currents, the actually important things, the structural things that are taking place, the relationship between India and the United States remains firm. Whether it's economics, now we know that there'll be a deal done, a trade deal done, whether it's defense relations or defense industrial relations, these continue apace. These have not been derailed, they've not been reversed, they've not been upended. It is the case, and this is something that President Trump can't understand. This is a multipolar world, and India has a long history of multi-alignment, what is called in India strategic autonomy. They're going to do, surprise, surprise, what is in the best interests of India. Sometimes that means doing a deal with China. Sometimes it means cozying up to Russia. And over the last 25 years, it has increasingly meant tightening relations with the United States. But the statement made by that Indian official that we don't belong to any bloc is true, and it's something that President Trump can't understand. But I do want to draw a distinction between the stuff that comes out on Truth Social and the stuff that comes out of Foggy Bottom, which is where the State Department is, and the Pentagon. And those are very different signals being sent, and they reflect very different relationships. Trump doesn't get it. The State
But
Department
the foggy
and
bottom does.
Pentagon do.
You know, you're absolutely right. That's the signal we've also been picking up, you know, whether it's the Pentagon or foggy bottom. Very clearly, they've signaled their efforts are as much as India's efforts to keep the relationship on an even keel, even if White House may send other signals. But